Hello and good afternoon, kids. Welcome back to the short tutorial video for your math subject. So in this video what we'll be dealing with is the addition and subtraction of fractions. So as you might have seen the previous video where we have dealt with the basics of the fractions, that is the type of the fractions, ascending and descending order of the fractions, representing fractions on number line and all. So in this video we'll be dealing with the addition and subtraction of fractions. So first of all, when it comes to add or subtract a fraction, we need to look at the type of fraction, whether the fraction is a like fraction and unlike fraction. So if it is a like fraction, then it's an easier way to add or subtract the fractions as compared to unlike fraction. So what we'll do in this video is, first of all, we'll see few sums regarding the like fractions, as well as we'll go with few unlike fractions as well. So in exercise number 3b, question number 2 we have the 3b question number 2 we have is under the addition of like fractions. So exercise 3b question number 2 we have question 23 divided by 36 and 11 divided by 36. As you can now distinguish between the fractions, what do we have in this question is two fractions, given fractions, they have the same denominator, and we know that they are like fractions. So whenever we are going with the addition or subtraction of like fractions, what all we need to do is simply we can add numerators or subtract the numerators according to the question. If it is about additions, we need to add the numerators. If it is about subtraction, we need to subtract the numerators. So what happened here is we have 23 and 36, and the question is and 11 divided by 36. So in the next step what I did was, since the question was about addition, so I placed a sign over here. What do I know from this step is that both the fractions, they have the same denominators, that is they are like fractions. So as I said, all we need to do is just simply add the numerators. So what I have done here in the next step is 23 plus 11, that is the numerators, both the numerators, and place the denominator as it is, just one denominator, that is 36. So after adding up, what I got is, in the place of numerator I got 34, the denominator remains same, that is 36. Now 34 and 36, the fraction, they both the numerator and the denominator, they have 2 as common factor. So as you know, we need to keep our answer in the simplest possible form. So I have cancelled the numerator with 2 as well as the denominator with 2. 2 1 times is 2, 2 7 times is 14, 2 1 times 2, 2 8 times is 16. So therefore I got 17 by 18 as my answer, and it's in the simplest form. So moving on to the next question. For the next question we have is 18 divided by minus 41 and minus 37 divided by 41. Now looking at the question, what do I figure out is, again both the fractions, they are like fractions, because just looking at the denominator, now you can say whether they are like fractions or not. So looking at the denominator, what I can say is they are like fractions, and as we know, the sign of the denominator, it can be moved to the numerator as well. So in the next step what I did here was I moved the sign to the numerator, minus 18 divided by 41, and placed the sign of addition, as the question was about addition of fractions, in place of and since we cannot write two signs together, so I have used a bracket in order to write the negative sign of the second fractional form, the numerator of the second fractional form, that is 37, so minus 37 within the bracket divided by 41. So now the next step what do we need to do is, we need to open up the bracket. As we know, in case of BODMAS also, they come, first of all we need to open up the bracket. So in the second step what I did was minus 18 plus into minus. We know that bracket symbolizes multiplication, so plus into minus, it's minus, so 37. So from here what did I got is the numerator and the denominator same signs. So same signs, as we know, same signs are added and the sign remains same. So I have added the term, I got 55, sign remains same, so minus it is, the denominator remains same, 41. Since both the numerator and denominators, the numerator and denominator, they cannot be cancelled, so I have kept it as it is, as it's already in the simplest form. So okay, moving on to the next question. What do we have in the next question is that Question number 2.6, what we have is minus 29 divided by minus 56 plus, the sign is already given out there, and again the second fraction form also with negative sign on both numerators and denominators. So if you have negative sign on both the numerators and denominators, then you can cancel the signs like I have done here. See, minus and minus, these two minus I have cancelled, as well as these two minus I have cancelled. So after cancelling the negative terms, what did I got is 29 became positive now, 56, the denominator also of the first fraction became positive. We are dealing with the addition of fractions, so there comes the plus sign. Second fraction also, the numerator and denominator, the signs got cancelled, so 39 by 56. Now we have simple addition of fractions, as I have already said, that to a like fractions. All we need to do is just add up the numerators. So we added up the numerator, the denominator remains same, got 50. I got 68 divided by 56. Again, both are multiples of 4. So after cancelling with 4, I got 17 divided by 14. As we know that we have to keep our answer in the simplest possible form, simplest fractional form. So okay, moving on to the next question, next type of addition and subtraction of addition of fractions. What we have is, we got addition of like fractions. Now what happens if we have two different denominators? So let's figure out what happens if when you have two different denominators. So as you know, this negative sign, question number 3.1, what we have in 3.1 is 1 divided by minus 3 and minus 1 divided by 4. So as you know, while doing the calculation part, we need to keep the negative sign in the numerator. So the first step here I did was minus 1 divided by 3. As I've already said, the negative sign in the fractional form can be placed anywhere. That is, you can keep it in the numerator or in front or in the denominator, but while doing the calculation part, you have to keep it in the numerator. So, and the question was about addition, so I have replaced and with the plus sign, so we cannot write two signs together again. Again, there comes a bracket, minus 1 divided by 4. After opening up the bracket, we know the first procedure of every solution, that is, we need to open up the bracket as stated by BODMAS rule. So after opening the bracket, what did I got was minus 1 by 3 and minus 1 divided by 4. So now see, now what we have here is, now from this, that is, whatever we are dealing with is, we are dealing with addition and subtraction of unlike fractions, two different denominators. Now see, this can be done in three different types. So I have done all the three different types. Whichever method you find it easier, you can go with that. But there's one small complication with that. I'll tell you about that afterwards. So okay, let's go with the type 1, that is the first one. For the first one is the general, like I guess you have done in class 6 as well. So what do I got in the question is minus 1 divided by 3 and minus 1 divided by 4. What you need to do is simple go with the LCM of the denominators. So 3 and 4. So how much you will get your LCM as? You will get your LCM as 12. That is the lowest common multiple. So what happens after getting the LCM is, first numerator comes first, so minus 1 it is, into, now 3, how many times is the LCM? So that number has to multiply the first numerator. So 3 4 times, again the minus sign, the sign remains as it is, minus, the second numerator comes 1 into, now the second denominator 4. So for how many times is 12? That number has to be multiplied with the second numerator. So here we have multiplied for 3 times is 12, we know. So 3 I have multiplied with this second numerator. So after as we know that now again, as we know that we need to multiply the number first, because multiplication comes first, in then subtraction in BODMAS rule. So it is minus 1 into 4, it is minus 4, minus 1 into 3, again it's minus 3. So now again numerators, same signs are added, sign remains same, so we have minus 7 divided by 12 as our answer. It's already in the simplest form. Okay, so for type 2, what do we have is, for type 2 again we need to do with the same, first steps, that is, first of all we need to figure out the LCM of the denominators. So we have the denominators as 3 and 4. So after figuring out the LCM, I got to know that the LCM is 12. So now 3, how many times is 12? I have to multiply the same number in the denominator as well as in the numerator. This is because of the equivalent fraction. Remember the equivalent fraction. Remember equivalent fraction from the previous exercise. We have done equivalent fraction in the previous exercise as well. So minus 4. Now again 4 multiplied with 3 gives us 12. So So 3, the same number has to multiply the numerator as well. As I said about, it's because of equivalent fraction. So I have here minus 4 divided by 12 and minus 3 divided by 12. Now what do I got here is, from this step to this step, what did I got is, I got two like fractions. So what happens with like fraction? We can directly operate the numerators. So here we have in the numerator minus 4 and minus 3. So our answer is minus 7 divided by 12. This is our type 2. Now for type 3, this is the easiest one. I guess must be easier for you as well. But for type 3, there is a small complication that you cannot use type 3. You cannot use the type 3 in when you are handling 3 or more than 3 fractional forms. Remember that type 3 is only applicable when you are handling just 2 fractional forms, whether it be addition or it be subtraction. When you are handling just 2 fractional forms, type 3 is applicable. In type 3, all you need to do is simply take second denominator and multiply it with the first numerator. That is what I have done in the second step. See, 4 multiplied with minus 1, so 4 and minus 1. Keep the sign as it is, minus 1. Now first denominator to second numerator, so it is 1 into 3 divided by the multiply the denominators as well. So 3 into 4, 3 into 4. So here we have minus 4 minus 3 divided by 12. So your answer is minus 7 divided by 12. And if you don't get the answer in the simplest form, as I said, you have to take the answer to the simplest possible form. And I hope you have understood. So okay, let's do a few more sums. So okay, in question number 3-5, what we have in 3-5 is, we got mixed fractional form. See, 2 divided by 7 and minus 3, 7 divided by 11. So as you know, we cannot operate directly on the mixed fractions. So all we need to do is convert the mixed fraction to improper fraction first. Again, take the denominator clockwise, first multiply, then add. 7 2 times 14, 14 plus 2 is 16, so we have 16 divided by 7, and I have replaced the and with the plus sign because we are dealing with the addition of fractional forms. So we have minus out here, so I have placed a bracket with minus. So 11 3 times is 33, 33 plus 7 is 40, 40 divided by 11. Now the second step, as we know, we need to open up the bracket first. So it is 16 divided by 7 plus into minus. We know that the bracket, it signifies multiplication, so plus into minus, it's minus, so it is 40 divided by 11. So now from here, whichever method you pick, so I have done just the cross multiplication one, that is type 3. 16 into 11, 16 into 11, 7 minus remains as it is, 47, 7 into 40, then again multiply the denominators, 7 into 11, so 7 into 11. Now we got 16 into 11 as 176 minus 14 into 7 as 280. Now what we have in the numerator is, we got two terms, a positive and a negative integer. So as we know, opposite signs are subtracted. So 176 minus 280, it is minus 104 divided by 77. And since it's already in the simplest form, so we don't need to do anything regarding it. It will remain as it is. Or what you can do is, you can convert it into the mixed fractional form. So it's better to keep it as it is. Okay, and in question number 4-2, this is what I was telling you about when we are dealing with 3 different fractions. So what we have here is, we got 3 fractional forms in here. Remember, we cannot apply type 3 in here. Okay, so for question number 4-2, what do I have is minus 3 plus 2 divided by minus 3 plus minus 3 divided by minus 5. As I said, if you have got signs, negative signs in the numerator and denominator of a fraction, you can cancel it. So the first step, I just cancel the negative signs. In the second fractional form, what do I see is the minus sign in the denominator. As I said, the negative sign in the denominator has to be placed in the numerator while operating the fractions. And the first fraction, minus 3, it didn't have any denominator, so we know that denominator is 1. So after placing the denominator as 1, plus within the bracket with this negative sign, minus 2 plus 3 divided by 5, and then the first step, again we need to open up the bracket first. So minus 3 by 1 minus 2 by 3 plus 3 divided by 5. Then what I have done here is I have gone with the first method, that is the LCM method. I have figured out the LCM of the denominators. The denominators we have here is 1, 3 and 5. The LCM is 15. So the first denominator we have is 1. 15 times 15. That 15 has to be multiplied with the first numerator. So first numerator it is minus, the negative sign remains as it is. The second denominator, that is 3. 5 times is 15. Again the 5 has to be multiplied with the second numerator. So 5 plus 5. 3 times is 15. Again this 3 has to be multiplied with the third numerator. So third numerator also it's 3. So it is 3 into 3. Now after that comes the multiplication part. So 3 into 15 is 45. It's the negative sign in there, so minus 45. Again minus 2 5 times is 10 plus 3 times is 9, and we have the denominator as 15. So now we got numerators as minus 45, minus 10 and 9. So when you add these two up, because again we know that addition comes first in BODMAS rule, so when you add these two up, we'll get minus 55. Minus 55 plus 9. Minus 55 and plus 9. Again we know 55 as a greater number with a negative sign, so sign of greater number follows, opposite signs are subtracted. After subtracting calculation, all the calculations, we get our answer as minus 46 divided by 15 as your answer. And again minus 46 and 15, it's already in the simplest fractional form, so you can keep your answer as it is, or you can go to the mixed fractional form. So let's just check out few sums with the subtraction as well. So for subtraction, for subtraction of like fractions, exercise 3C, we have first sum in here, question number 1 to 5 by 7 from minus 1 by 7. So the term from, as soon as you get the term from, in case of subtraction, remember the second term comes first. So you have to, in the second step, you need to write the second term first and the first term second with a negative sign in between, minus sign in between. So I have minus 1 by 7 minus 5 by 7. So the numerators, again we got like fractions. As I said, we can directly operate the numerators. So we have minus 6 divided by 7 as our answer for the first one. And the sixth one, what do I have here in the sixth one is 10 divided by 1012 from minus 1 divided by 1012. Again the same thing will happen here. The term from is there. In case of the question is about subtraction, as I already said, the second term comes first, the first term goes second, so second term came first. In the second step, minus the first term came second, again the like fractions. So after the like fractions, we directly operate the numerators. We have minus 11 by 1012, that is 1012. Minus 11 by 1012, what do I figure out is 11 can divide 1012. So 11 1 times is 11, 11 92 times is 1012. So this is our simplest form.